Hey folks, Travis Durick here with Peplink. We've got another one of our Peplink University series webinars today for you. As always, we've got Professor P here to show us the way. And today we're going to talk about the SpeedFusion Connect app. This is a new app that we've been working on, and I think it's going to be really interesting and exciting for you folks to see how this works and what you can do with this. And I guess with that, Peter, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yes. Give me 1 second. I accidentally popped something up there. Okay. Yeah. So if you don't know me, my name is Peter West, otherwise known as Professor P. And I'm excited to do this next webinar on the SpeedFusion Connect app. I've got my phone connected with DeX, so I'm hoping this works well. So I kind of got my phone connected right there. So if you see weird text notifications, that is my phone. So I apologize in advance. But let's talk about the SpeedFusion Connect app, why we made it. Let's go over some of the limitations and why we think it's valuable for different customers. So does that work, Travis?
Yeah,
I think that works.
Great.
Yeah. So the SpeedFusion Connect app has been made in order to simplify the management of Peplink routers in more of a SOHO SMB environment.
I think for a lot of people, like in control just doesn't make sense, right? If you're an end user, maybe an RV, or you're just a small business owner and you've got 1 or 2 locations, like this cloud management thing is just way too much for you. And so
there's too many features.
Right on your smartphone, simplified. That's really the focus here.
And so the SpeedFusion Connect app allows you to create Wi-Fi networks, see your LANs, see your WANs, update your Protect data, add LTE data, manage your network, see your users, grab reports, and control which apps or devices can use SpeedFusion Protect. And so it's a really nice user interface. I've been playing with it. So I have my UBR Plus right here, and this is my personal hotspot that I use, and I've been using the SpeedFusion Connect Protect and SpeedFusion app to configure this for a couple weeks now. Just trying to get it, make sure I was happy with it before doing this presentation. And I'm really impressed with the friendliness and user interface that this provides. Yeah,
it's really just the core, right? It's just like get connected, protect what you care about. Yeah, I'll let you keep going. So yeah, like I was saying, it just strips it down to the basics, the things that people really need, right? Just get yourself connected, right? You can add an LTE plan over the air with the eSIM. You can get your Wi-Fi network set up and secured, and then you can protect the things that you care about, and check on usage and see who's doing what. And again, it's just all about those things that matter the most to those folks who don't have 1,000 devices to manage.
Exactly. Or if you don't have, even if you have 1,000, or just that you don't need the advanced features that InControl offers, right? InControl is very feature rich, right? We have VLANs, we have network route settings now with new 2.12. We have captive portal settings. We have advanced reporting, SpeedFusion configuration. And so if you're just using a Peplink router as for SpeedFusion Connect Protect, and you're looking to simplify your deployment of your branch sites or your retail locations, it's a great tool to do this. And so it's really easy to set up. And we're going to live do that with my 20X. I'm hoping this is going to go well. But we're going to live set up the 20X with the app here in a few minutes. But the setup is easy. You add the device, you set up your network, you enable your SpeedFusion Connect Protect locations, and you set up how you want to use that SpeedFusion Connect Protect. And so I think that most people will see how easy it is. Additionally, with the Wi-Fi, you can create a guest network and a private network. And supposedly, which we're going to try, you can now do SpeedFusion SFC relay, is my understanding. And so if we have enough time today, I'm actually going to try that ad hoc without ever actually doing it. So it'll be kind of fun if we have enough time.
Yeah, I want to take just a minute to kind of explain some of these terms quick too, because I think there's a little bit of confusion sometimes. It's not always clear exactly what these things are. And so, SpeedFusion Connect Protect, that's, if you've got multiple internet connections, right? Or maybe you just have one, but you've got your landline or whatever your connection is, you can add another connection and then you can protect your traffic. And so SpeedFusion Connect Protect is the cloud side of SpeedFusion. So Peplink's hosting that, letting you prioritize which applications matter and get that stuff protected. And then on the other side, we've got SpeedFusion Connect 5G LTE. So you can add an LTE or 5G service to your device without having to go to a store or get a SIM card, right? We can do that all over the air. Even if you already have a SIM card in your router, you can add another one. So if you have Verizon, you can add AT&T. If you have AT&T, you can add T-Mobile. Or if you have T-Mobile, you can add Verizon, right? You can add any other connection you want so that you've got that safety net. You've got that extra layer of backup so that you can protect those applications if your primary or preferred carrier has an issue. So those are kind of those two terms that I think help to really understand what all of these, how this all comes together.
And you might hear me, thank you for that, Travis, and you might hear me say SFC or SpeedFusion Connect. It depends on my verbiage, but SFC is SpeedFusion Connect. And that's sort of the overall umbrella of this cloud hosted services from Peplink. So if you hear SpeedFusion Connect or SFC, what they're referring to is, hey, this is provided by Peplink, right? Peplink provided LTE, Peplink provided 5G, Peplink provided bonding. And so that's really where this SFC comes in. So now you have the SFC app, right? The manager of these SFC technologies and your routers. With the SFC Protect, you can easily manage, protect your devices and applications with SpeedFusion built in right into the app. And Peplink's made it super easy to do this. And you can actually customize how it's being done. So if you notice here, you can go into your SpeedFusion settings and you have a series of apps like Zoom. You can choose your Zoom and you can say standard, jitter-free, or express. And so jitter-free is going to add WAN smoothing, right? And so it's going to use parity bits. And so it's going to take your cable modem, if you have that connected to like a 20X, and then the SFC LTE, and then it's going to add WAN smoothing. This means your Zoom connection is going to be more resilient and reliable because you have that extra parity bits that are happening over that LTE or 5G connection. And so you can select apps that you want to use specifically over SFC Protect to be able to make those apps run better or be more resilient. And you don't, Travis and I did a webinar a couple of months ago where we talked about the different ways to configure outbound policies. And I mentioned that one of my favorites is just sending all the traffic over SpeedFusion. That can be not the best way. For example, Netflix doesn't like VPNs. And so you might not want to run that all the time. Or if you're bonding with Starlink, for example, Starlink bursts data. So you might not want to run your high performance downloads where you're going to have a really fast Starlink download over SpeedFusion Connect Protect, but you might want to run Zoom so that way it's more resilient with Starlink and 5G. And so it's nice to know that you can customize this very simply within the app. 3, we have 28 cities and 19 countries protected, which means not only can you have peace of mind that you're going to be reliably connected, you can actually choose where you want to present yourself. If I want to present myself in Europe, I can just choose a European location. If I'm traveling around Europe and my VPN or my work wants me to show that I'm coming from the USA, I can choose a US location. And I actually had a customer ask me that. They said, hey, I'm traveling on a trip, but my work blocks other countries. They do regional blocking, and my VPN has to come from America. So easy. You just use SFC, choose one of our multiple US locations, and when you establish your IPsec tunnel, it'll actually go right over and it'll look like it's coming from the USA. Additionally, I've been told that Starlink doesn't play well with VPNs. Well, you can actually bond Starlink to SFC Protect to any one of these locations, then put your VPN through it and it will work. Your IPsec VPN or your DMVPN will connect right through that SpeedFusion tunnel. And so it's a really neat way to kind of circumvent maybe other blocks, if you might want to say that. And right here, we just we're kind of going in more advanced, avoid location-based restrictions with relay mode. Relay mode we announced in the 8.3 kind of had mixed feelings about how it was deployed and are really finding great use cases for it. So I have a 20X right here connected to a BR2 Pro 5G, not in synergy mode, using it as kind of like a weird internet source that's not, there's no static public IP. And so I can have this sitting here, take this over to Europe, relay through here, and then come out through my cable modem. So the idea is you put a 20X at your house, you connect it to your cable modem, you can then relay mode a Transit Duo or a UBR Plus back to that 20X, and it'll look like you're coming from your cable provider. This is going to help with launching your ESPN app or your internet app or your cable provider app, or Netflix and things like that, because it's going to look like it's coming from your IP. And so it's a great way to extend your network without a whole bunch of complicated infrastructure.
Yeah, I think this is a big problem for anybody who travels, right? The RVers out there, right? Like, okay, you've got this Peplink and you can protect all your traffic now with SpeedFusion, but again, like you said, these services block VPNs, right? They don't want people cheating and coming in from different countries when they're not actually from there, right? And so now you can actually travel on the road. You've got your Peplink with multiple connections, but then those services see you right back at your home, right? You're on that cable modem. It's a clean IP address. And so you've got that bonding SpeedFusion experience on the road, but again, you've got that home experience at the same time. So you really get the best of both worlds.
And I use this every day. I mean, if anybody follows me on social media, I travel for work all the time. And this technology allows me to keep connected, reliable Teams calls when I'm traveling, but also be able to just watch Netflix or Hulu or whatever. I don't want to keep saying Netflix. That's not fair to the other providers, but any streaming provider, it lets me stay connected to those, even though I'm over cellular or Starlink, and I get that nice, reliable connection, and it's very pleasant. With SpeedFusion, the SFC app, you can now monitor your data usage and WAN quality. So instead of having to log into InControl with complicated reports, which I think are really easy, don't want to put down InControl, but easier. So, the report generation is now right in the palm of your hand. So once again, allowing you to easily see how much data you're consuming, and maybe who your top consumers are and things like that. And so it allows you to get visibility into your utilization. And a lot of times, Travis, I don't know about you, but I get a lot of support calls where they're like, oh, my internet's so slow. And it's because they're running a throttled SIM card. And it's because they're not paying attention to how much data they're using. And so a lot of times when we have these throttled SIM cards, it's misleading on the performance that you might get. I'm going to shut my door. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, I was this person last week. I'd maxed out a shared plan and I didn't realize it. I'm exactly this person last week.
Yeah, I had a support call just yesterday, and the customer was really, really upset about, and I actually loaded SFC LTE on it because they only had one SIM card. So it was a 20X. I loaded SFC LTE, connected it to Verizon, the same SIM card carrier he had, and it was getting 180 megabits per second. He's like, whoa. And I was like, yeah, it's throttled. It's not, the carriers, they tell you it's unlimited, but sometimes it's not. And I don't want to get into that conversation here, but it's really neat to be able to pull up and see your utilization so you know what's going on. 5, SFC LTE and 5G data. Right from the app now, it'll launch the e-store. You can kind of see that. You're going to select a plan and it's going to launch the e-store automatically connected to your serial number and let you purchase this data. And I am going to attempt this today, but we'll see what happens. Now, it's put here. I don't know if you've seen my 310 5G commercial and my 20X commercial with Bob's Ice Cream Store and Sarah's Law Firm. But this is an amazing technology. And I'll tell you why. If you have a cable modem in your house, or even at your business, your retail location, et cetera, and you don't want to spend $50 to $100 a month for a backup service that you might or might not need just to have it there. With SFC, LTE, and 5G, you buy 10 gigs or 100 gigs of data, and it's just there. There's no monthly fee, no contract. And so your cable modem fails, or your fiber line fails, or your internet, whatever it might be, fails. And boom, that LTE data is there being used. You can monitor with the reporting, and then you can reload it. And so instead of paying monthly for service that you don't necessarily want because you have fast cable or Fios or fiber or whatever, you can be protected without the extra expense. And I was a little hesitant when Peplink first launched this feature. It is an amazing feature that we've helped tons of customers with that want backup and don't want to pay that monthly fee. And so if you've never looked at this or played with it, if you have any modern Peplink router, it's going to support this. So I would highly advise play with it. But Travis, I don't know if you have anything more to say on that. It's just my sales pitch on SFC 5G, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, the whole concept of backup LTE or backup 5G makes sense to people right away. But like you said, it's like the devil's in the details. All of a sudden it's like, oh, I have to spend $20, $50 a month for that thing that I don't even know if I'm going to use it this year, right? Like, yeah, maybe I will, maybe I won't, but oh my gosh, the day that I need it, wow, I need it now, right? Because I'm Bob's Ice Cream Shop and I've got 15 people in line and my internet just went down and I'm Bob, I'm not at the ice cream shop because I'm out buying supplies or whatever, but my store employees can call me and say, hey, the internet's down, I can't run credit cards, and I can come on here, push a few buttons, and boom, I have a backup connection over the air within a minute or two. Like, that's powerful.
Or hopefully automatically, right? Hopefully you've already preloaded it, and so it's sitting there ready to go.
Yep. But yeah, you can do it from anywhere. You don't have to be there. You don't have to put a SIM card in. As long as you've got the antennas hooked up, you're ready for that backup whenever you need to push that button.
That's exactly right. The SFC app does not work on every router yet. And so it's really designed for the Soho SMB routers that are really volume purchased and or used for these backup connections. So the 20X, one of my favorite routers, the UBR Plus, another one of my favorite routers, the BR1s, the Mini, the Pro 5G, the Pro LTEA, the BR2 Pro, which I have right there, and the Transit Duo Pro all support the SFC app. Peplink is officially putting this into a insider preview / beta right now. So we're looking for feedback. So we'd love it if you jump on this app, download it, register yourself in the forum as a beta tester, and provide feedback of what features do we need. And I've mentioned this in other conversations if you've been watching this series with Travis and myself, but Peplink really does care about the feedback that we provide as users of their technology. And so it's a great opportunity to provide insight and make this app really usable for the community. It's probably the best way to say it. And so I know that I've already had like 3 or 4 of my customers, my enterprise customers, hey, why is the MBX? And it's like, it's in beta right now. So we're kind of making sure that it's going to work, and then we can add more products. But right now we don't want you to do that. We don't want to, your production environment for your large enterprise. Don't go download this app and add it. It does interact with In Control. I'll show you that in a few minutes when we do the live demo. But really, grab your hotspot device, grab your RV router, your home router, play around with it and make sure you understand how it works and how it interoperates. And if you're using regular SpeedFusion, if you're going from your corporate office to a branch office, you do not want to use this yet. There's no SpeedFusion configuration. It's all SFC Protect and SSL LTE. So you want to keep using In Control if you're using SpeedFusion on your devices. Peplink recommends downloading the app, doing a backup of your active configuration before adding the device, and then provide feedback. So I'm gonna jump into a demo on this real fast, hopefully, and we'll go over it. So let me pull up my decks here. 1 second.
Yeah, and while you're pulling that up, I'll just, on the feedback side, if you take a screenshot on your phone, our app automatically recognizes that, and you can mark it up. You can highlight where the problem is. You can put some notes in there, and then you click that submit button. So you don't have to send us, an email attachment. It's going to automatically push all that information to us, and it's going to give us a little bit of diagnostics in the background too. So this is the fastest, most efficient way to get a problem solved and get your direct feedback in there and get things improved. And so, yeah, definitely just do that screenshot, and it's an automatic process. And it's pretty straightforward.
My deck's messed up on me. I apologize. It's the first time I've used. Yeah, we're live, right? So when you download the app, I've got the SFC Connect right here. So I'm going to double click that. You will log in using your Peplink ID if you need to. One thing to note that I really liked is under users, you can actually invite other users into this platform and actually share devices with them. So if you have 5 or 6 devices, you can actually invite users and assign them to a device like, hey, this is my home router. Let me invite my wife or partner or whoever to that device. So if I go to router, this is my UBR Plus. And so I can see right here, I've got 2 cellular connections, 0 wired connections. Nothing's plugged into my LAN, 0 wired LANs, and I've got 1 Wi-Fi. So I've already added this device. This is, like I said, a device I've been playing with. So I've got my SFC Protect. I've got a little over a terabyte left. And so if I click on WAN, you'll see there's my wired WAN, and I've connected to Verizon and AT&T in a SIM slot. If I click on one of these, like cellular WAN 1, I can change my APN, and I can also select a different carrier. Obviously, if I have a Verizon SIM and I select AT&T, it's not going to work, but this is really important for SFC Protect or SFC LTE data, because if you have SFC LTE, you can then choose which carrier you want it to be on, AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon. And so that's kind of neat there. Click back. Let me go to the wired one. If I click on my wired WAN, I can actually set my IP settings here. So dynamic IP, PPOE IP, or static IP. So if you think about this for out-of-band management for like a retail or small retail or branch location, you can have SFC LTE data online, connect to this, type in your carrier IP address, hit save, and now you've got Ethernet with backup LTE. And so really nice feature set. It's very easy. I mean, if you can see on the screen, it's very easy it's clean and easy to navigate, and makes a lot of sense as far as UI is concerned, in my opinion. So I've got my router settings. I can go to my LAN and see my LAN connected devices if I plug something in on the LAN. And then on the Wi-Fi, I can create Wi-Fi networks. So I've got my UBR Plus. This is really cool. If you click on the QR code here right there, you can scan this with your phone. Now, I mean, you guys could, but you're not within range. You can scan this with your code with your phone and actually connect to my UBR Plus. So if you're trying to share Wi-Fi at an event or a venue or at your house, RV, whatever, instead of giving somebody your password, you can just say, hey, scan this. And so it's kind of neat feature there. You can also create new Wi-Fi, and I can create a guest network. And you have an SSID and password, and I can go and I can turn on and off 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So the guest network is gonna protect your LAN. The private network is gonna make it available on your LAN. SFC Protect right here. If I click on this, I can then choose what plans I want. So I can purchase more SFC Protect data if I need to, or I can purchase SFC Connect 5G and LTE with Protect. So when you buy the 5G data, you also get the Protect. And so I can select a plan and bundle those together, which when I plug in my 20X, you'll see me do. Then you can select our cloud. So once we have our network set up, we have our Wi-Fi set up, we know we have our internet connected. Now we can select our connection location. So mine currently is auto. I like that feature. If you're only having one, because I travel a lot. And so whenever I turn on the router, it's going to connect to the closest, lowest ping time location, which is kind of nice. Instead of just picking the closest geo location, it'll actually pick the closest, lowest ping time location. And so I really like that. But if you wanted to, you could select multiple connections. You can have up to 3 or auto, and I like auto. And so that's pretty easy. So once you select, and so if you see, we start on the left and we're just working our way right. So I've configured my internet connection. I've configured my Wi-Fi. Now I've selected my cloud location, and now I configure how it's going to be used. I can send a device over SpeedFusion. So I can say, hey, my Asus Fold, send it over, which you can see that it already is, right? So if I connect my Asus Fold to this Wi-Fi network, it's going to go out Miami, which is my SFC Protect. Or I can select applications. So for example, like Teams and Zoom and WebEx are going to route out those out SFC Protect. But for example, if you see Office 365 says select, I'm not routing that. That's just going to go off the internet. So Lifesize, Teams, Zoom, and WebEx are all going to be bonded and protected. And then other applications are just going to use my whatever the fast or whatever internet is available. So it's going to be load balanced. And so continue to work to our right. Then I have my app, my WAN quality and data usage. So I can monitor the quality of my internet connections. And you can see my Verizon is not great right now. Let's see if our cellular or AT&T is also not great right now. That's okay. I got 2 of them bonded together, so it still works well for me. And then I have my data usage. And so you can pull up your devices, data usage by device or application. And so you can see like almost like a Peplink router UI, like we go to network and we just work our way down on the network tab, WAN, LAN, get it connected, set up the VPN, set up our outbound policies. It's working almost the same way. We start with our router, we choose our cloud location, choose our speed, how we want to use SpeedFusion. Then we have reports and users. And so it's really easy to work in the environment here. So yeah.
I love those WAN quality reports, Peter, because I think so often people just don't understand why. Why is this not working, right? Why is my video so bad? And you go look at your wired internet connection, right? I've got a gigabit Comcast connection. I've got a gigabit Time Warner. Like, why is my Zoom and Teams so terrible? Well, you can see like the jitters going
garbage
up and down. Yeah, you can start to see like, oh, yes, my speedtest.net might be fast, but you can see those differences there and really understand and identify what the problem is then.
So I have in control, I have a group called SFC App, and then I've got my 2 devices, and you see the SFC UBR Plus has a lock. Devices disabled configuration from in control. So if I click on this right there, config locked on device, SFC App managed. So in control, I can still see this device. I can still see that it's connected to Verizon and AT&T. There's my tunnels that it creates automatically when I chose auto. But it's locking the configuration. And so I want to go to settings, remote web admin. I just want to show you what this looks like when it's also locked, because it also restricts some of the features. So if you're using the SFC app, if you notice, you're going to have a much more restricted view here. So if you ever logged into your router and go, man, where's all my settings? Most likely you're being managed by the SFC app. And you can see you're logged in as a read-only user. So they don't want you to make changes to the router. They want you to use the app. And so they've done a really good job of allowing you to use in control to see this router and to visualize the router, manage its warranty and status and in control, but allow users access to that device to be configured in the SFC app. And so it's really nice. At least I like it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, oh, go ahead.
I think this opens up the door for other use cases too, like you said earlier. Maybe I am that company that has a whole bunch of these and routers, and I have just a lot of different customers, right? I want each customer to have that kind of self-service control and visibility. Well, I can give them that app, but I can still see things centrally and in control and still kind of have my view over here. And so the 2 can coexist in a, that's not going to be the same exact feature experience on the in control side, but again, you can have that kind of.
I see great value in the MSP marketplace here for the SFC app, giving users access to their devices without releasing full control.
It's not like that home, wired broadband experience, right? Like these cable companies give you an app often with that modem that comes with your service, but they've got another way to manage that stuff on their side too, and so. Again, it's the user and the administrator can each have their different places to go in.
Correct. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to add my 20X, and I'm actually going to buy SFC LTE on it. So I will pause it when I put in credit card. So I'm going to hit plus. You can scan a serial number if you have have your camera in your box, or I can enter it manually. So I'm just going to enter it right here. Next. Validated the serial number. So now it's going to ask me to set up a Wi-Fi name. So I'm going to say SFC app 20X. Give it a generic password because I'm sharing my screen here. Click next. I can rename the router. Balance 20X is fine. Maybe I'll just add like home to it. Hit start. and your router is currently managed and in control. You need to change the configuration control to SpeedFusion Connect app on your router. So I need to tell the router not to manage, or tell in control not to manage this router. So I'm gonna go to 20x, click edit. Right here, configuration control, in control. I'm gonna uncheck that and hit save. And then go back to my app.
And if you haven't added this router to in control, this step won't show up.
Correct. Yeah. If the router's not in control, that won't show up. Oh, let me, there we go. And so it's going to start provisioning this device now inside. You can see it's online here. SFC Protect is already enabled. So now I've got two routers here. I've got my UBR Plus and my 20X, which is, you can see my 20X has 500 gigs of available bandwidth. So I can click on this now. And so here's so the 20X supports SFC LTE. If you notice that the UBR just had SFC Protect, the 20X has this SFC LTE option. So I can click View Plans. Oops, sorry, 1 second. And it's going to open up the eStore, and I can then buy a plan. So I can click on this plan, hit Add to Cart, and check out. Ooh. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pause this for a second.
It is still paused. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to make sure it loaded. I apologize.
Okay.
Said, please allow for some time for it to take effect. So we'll see what happens there. So resume. Okay, so I went in, I hit pay. It said, please return the app, and it says, wait some time. So I don't know what that means. It said sometime. So we'll see what happens here. But so then if you notice also here on this homepage, it says, hey, there's an upgrade available. So I can click on this and it's saying, hey, we recommend you run 8.30S033. Do you want to upgrade now or schedule it? So you could schedule this for when it's not being utilized in your environment, or if you're available, you can upgrade now. We're obviously not going to do that right now. So I can also now choose my cloud location for bonding. So you'll see here the first time it says, hey, SpeedFusion makes your connection unbreakable and protects the quality of video calls and applications, which we kind of already explained. And click next. It lets you know that you can do cellular and wired WAN together. Hit close. It says you want to connect your location. So I hit next. SpeedFusion Protect. You can now protect your applications. Click next. So it guides you through this. Standard day-to-day web browsing, jitter-free video and conferencing, express file transfer. That's going to be bonding, right? So hit next. Configured devices, or no, I have no devices plugged into the network right now. So then click start. And so now this one shows Atlanta, and you can see that it's right now in Peplink cloud mode. So it like guides you through it. And I find this very, I can try to see like my mom or someone trying to set this up and being a little confused by it. But for most people that are buying a Peplink router and know what the value of the Peplink router is with bonding and cellular backup, I feel like it's pretty straightforward that what we're doing is making this app user-friendly to be able to program these options. Then I can go to SpeedFusion. Usually your applications are now protected by SpeedFusion Protect. Hit start, and you can see that it automatically added these applications and set it up for me. And it says SpeedFusion protection is ineffective. Two WAN connections are required. So top up your data. So I'm hoping here shortly that it'll do that by showing you this.
Yeah.
And so
once Peter made that purchase, that's an eSIM. And so that's going to get pushed over the air automatically to that device. But it does take a little bit of time, usually a handful of minutes is all. But so once that actually shows up, that warning.
Yeah, so we should see that show up soon. So now that I have two routers, supposedly we can set up relay, but I'm not sure. Once again, this is the very first time I've ever done this one. So I'm not sure where that feature is.
So if you go into the cloud location, it's at the bottom there.
Oh, there you go. Share router as a peer node. So there we go. So I can actually, so under cloud location, where we chose our public locations, I share router as peer. So I can select this, share my network, share my peers, hit edit, turn on peer code, peer network. It's going to generate a sharing code. And then I should be able to connect the UBR to this with the sharing code. We can answer some questions real fast while we're waiting to see if that loads up and stuff. We have I think we have a handful. Let's see here.
The standard recording question, anybody who registered will get a recording of this emailed automatically. It'll also show up on our YouTube channel and the forums. So again, if you've registered, you're going to get a copy of this webinar automatically.
You can see SpeedFusion Connect is enabled. I got a code. I can copy that code right there on my clipboard. And then I should be able to go back to the select router, go to my UBR plus, cloud locations.
I think so. Find out.
Oh, peer node. There it is right there.
Cool.
Click start, add a peer node, paste, rename the node, 20x, home. Oops, sorry. Home, add peer node. Neat. And there we go. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, recordings will be available. What makes the SFC app different than the Peplink router utility? A lot. I actually, it's funny you asked that question, Austin. I wanted to do a video, or I want to still do a video reviewing all the different really cool management tools that Peplink has. It is one of the things that I really want to do. And the idea of the SFC app is really designed to manage the SFC cloud services from Peplink. So your SFC Protect, your SFC LTE, so purchasing data, connecting your cloud locations. And then managing these routers almost like a simplified IC2 for end users. The router utility is basically an app that connects to the router's web GUI and brings those features to the app. So it's not cloud managed, it's device managed. So the router utility, you have to be LAN connected or WAN connected to that device. The InControl 2 app, the IC2 app that Peplink also has, brings IC2 basic functionality right to your phone. So you can have kind of the group level management like you're getting in the SFC, but you're getting it on for like your SpeedFusion Enterprise. You're getting it for, you can manage all your devices and things like that right inside the IC2 app. And so you have the router utility, IC2 app, SFC app, and then you have IC2 in a web browser, right? The portal. And so the portal is going to give you the most features. You're going to have outbound policies, firewall policies, VLAN capability, router capability, advanced reporting. Everything's going to be in IC2. The SFC app, what we're looking at here, is really designed to simplify the setup of a SOHO or branch device, enabling SFC Protect and LTE. And then the router utility is designed to let you log into the router and manage those multiple routers and their statuses, but you have to be connected via the LAN. There's no cloud broker. And then the IC2 is an advanced version of the router utility. It's going to give you the same functionality, but it's be brokered via IC2. Is that, that's a lot of information in a few seconds, but I hope that answers the question. So I already answered this, Keith. Can I use the VPN over SpeedFusion to connect to my employee? Yes, and actually it's a very neat way to circumvent hotel Wi-Fi VPN blocking, or even Starlink. People have problems connecting to their work VPNs because of the bursting or TCP acceleration in Starlink. You can then bond it in SFC app Protect and then use those VPNs.
Yeah, and we see people do this in more traditional setups too, where they've got a Cisco firewall at a location, but like you said, maybe they're trying to add Starlink to their wireline connection mix, and yeah, all of a sudden my Cisco VPN doesn't work. Okay, cool. Well, SpeedFusion Connect will solve that for them. They can run their normal VPN through that and still get that bonding and that failover and all those protection benefits there.
And then do you have an API? I don't think SFC app has an API. Most are I know In Control has an API and the routers have an API, but I don't believe the SFC app specifically has an available API. Oh, look, there's my 10 gigs. Cool. Just loaded up on the 20X. So that worked. Let's see, about SFC relay. Is this just a more basic, simpler way for L2 tunneling to your home router? Yes and no. It's not layer 2. And so that's where you might be. So SFC relay is really designed to create, to allow one or more remote peers to use the internet of a host. And so if you think about having like your cable modem at your house, that's maybe on Cox, and that's just who's local to me. So my Cox internet provider, and then Cox has like ESPN and different TV shows that are linked to that account. I can then open up I can SFC relay to my 20X and then access those resources as if I was having that Cox IP, or I could be in Europe or Asia or somewhere else and still have that localized Cox IP. Which of these are available in France? I think all of them. But
yeah, the only thing you can't do in France is choose the carrier, right? So if you've got our 5G LTE service in the US, you can pick Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile really easily from that app. But in France, you're not going to be able to choose Orange or whichever other carrier. You've got to be able to. That data service is still capable there, and it's still multi-carrier, but you won't have that that ability to control the selection from this app. Then
yeah, there you go. And then Alan asked a really good question: why is the 310 5G fiber not supported? The 310 5G fiber is one of my favorite routers, and I think it's considered more of a medium and large business branch router, and so that's going to be more In Control managed. So all the features that you see on the SFC app are capable in the 310 5G, but through In Control and or the router UI directly. I believe that as Peplink builds out this app, you'll have more and more routers supported. But right now in the beta phase, it's a select routers just to make sure the technology is working well. But don't go on the forum. If you have a 310 5G, you've got a good router. Don't. So
yeah. And if you want it on there, go on the forum and make that request, right?
Yeah, request it.
Push that feedback button, right? We listen to customers, like Peter said. And so the more people that say, hey, I want this model, that will definitely bump up the speed in which we actually do that model.
Correct. A really good question from Jeremy. For the LTE 5G SIMs, eSIMs, does Peplink act as a service provider? I don't know if we act as a service provider. I know we partnered. I don't know how Peplink wants to act on that one.
That sounds like an email question. I'm not sure what they're
getting. Yeah, email that one, Jeremy, and we'll reach out to Peplink and ask how they want us to answer that question. But we're pushing eSIMs down to the routers. Does it work anywhere in the world? David, for the most part, yes. There are 50 countries right now that are supported by the Peplink eSIMs, but you can physically install your own SIMs as well. And so they do work most places pretty well. So Keith asked a good question. He filled out the beta tester application, but I haven't heard anything on how to get started. The app is actually just in the App Store. So if you just go to your Play Store or iOS store and then search for SFC app, that's it. There's nothing else you need. The beta tester program is really just about providing feedback on the app itself. So to get started, just download the app and start using it. There's no special codes or anything needed. Can you provide a link to the forum post signing up for the beta app? Download the SFC app right now. See the App Store and the Google. David asked a really good question for those who've already thought the application. Once again, the application is really just about acknowledging that you want to be part of the beta program. So to get started, start providing feedback and download the app. The app is already public in the store. Another David asked, he says, mine wants to send me to In Control 2. Can I avoid this and use the app? I don't know if you can re-clarify, because I showed off in the demo how if you're using the app and you have In Control, you gotta enable, you gotta disable configuration for In Control. If you have another question related to In Control 2, please feel free to click the feedback or send us an email. I'll be more happy to guide you through the next process.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's what he's running into. Is he's already got it registered in Control, and the app will recognize that and warn you, say, hey, you need to go set this setting differently in Control before you.
Which you can grab the recording and you can see where I showed you how to do that when I set up my 20X. The UBR LTE does not work yet. So once again, the list of supported devices is right here. So you have the UBR Plus, the Transit Duo Pro, the new BR1 Mini, hardware 3 specifically, the BR1 Pro 5G, the BR1 Pro LTE-A hardware 7, and then the Balance 20X. So those are the only devices currently supported. And more, if you have a router you want supported, I suggest just once again, grabbing that forum post and asking Peplink for that. Here, actually, I don't know if you. Oh, this is the registration.
Just put the forum post up in the chat. So I've got the country supported on the 5G LTE data is the first link, and then the second link is that forum post.
So James asked a really good question about In Control and SpeedFusion App. The answer is yes. I kind of showed that in the demo, which you would have seen. But you're going to have a restricted access. You're going to be read-only on In Control 2 with basic status reporting, but not management within In Control. Migrate to SFC Connect, but later change your mind. Can you push a router back? Yes. All you have to do is reset the router, factory reset the router, and then you can load the configuration. That's sort of actually one of Peplink's recommendations here is download a copy of your config. If you have the router in Control, let me, I don't know if you know this, but kind of like a little In Control, if you hit your show all next to your device name, right here, you have configuration backups, and you can actually download backups of your configurations, and you can actually roll back. So I can actually click this router and I can actually apply this from 8/27 this morning and roll back and remove the configurations that SFC app has pushed. So, but you can download and reload any configuration you want. So if you're using In Control, you're going to have the ability to roll back that configuration. If not, you can log into the router and just download a copy of your configuration right there. SFC acts as a data plan. Yes, SFC Connect 5G LTE is a data plan that is not that has no monthly contract, and you're just buying gigabytes. So you're going to buy 10 gigabytes or 100 gigs or terabyte or whatever, and just have that available to you on the router. IC2 does not override. Well, technically, if you check that box, so I got a good question about it. Can IC2 override? So if I want IC2 to override, I'd have to click the edit and then right here, configuration control, and turn back on IC2. Once I do this, IC2 will override the SFC app, and I can kind of force back control. Can SFC LTE be added? No. So SFC Protect and SFC LTE are currently not managed in Control. They're managed through a website, sfc.peplink.com, and you can purchase and reload those services. But to actually configure them, you have to either use the router UI or the SFC app. So you can purchase by going to sfc.peplink.com or reaching out to your partner. And I want to reiterate that Peplink has a great network of partners, and the partners can help you provision these services as well as broker or purchase these services as well. So you can go through your partners as well. And coming from a partner, it's part of the services we provide. But the app and the web portal are available as well. What is the advantage of using SFC app versus just managing the value directly on the router admin? The app is a way to have better visibility. So the admin page, just like the router utility and or the web admin, you have to have physical local access. A lot of people use Peplink for branch and remote connectivity all over the world. I've got thousands of routers in my IC2 right now, and so the ability to access these over the internet or remotely has a great power for remote management. Additionally, the app brings in the configuration and the procurement and the management of the network all in one very easy to use app. So that's the kind of the benefit of the app over the router UI. where the router UI has, and we have a video on that actually on the SFC app. And so the configuring SFC Protect and SFC LTE requires multiple steps on the router UI directly, whereas on the app, it's very streamlined. If that, I mean, I think that's pretty good.
I see one comment and then a follow-up question related to that comment of, people are, we use SFC as just an easier way to say SpeedFusion Connect. And so some folks have searched in the App Store for the SFC app and they're not finding it. So just search SpeedFusion Connect. Yeah. You should be able to find the app then.
Yeah, you don't need a physical SIM for the SpeedFusion, the SFC LTE. It's all eSIM and it's pushed out. Someone asked how I'm able to show this on my desktop. I'm using an app called Dex. So I'm just remote controlling my phone. So here's my phone, and I'm just remote controlling my phone on. So that's how I'm doing that. SFC does not have InTouch. InTouch is an IC2 functionality. I think you're going to see that coming into our enterprise features. But if you want to use InTouch, I would stay on IC2 for right now. And once again, I'm going to go back to that too. And I kind of prefaced this, Bob, earlier, is that I don't recommend SFC app for enterprises that are using SFC, like regular SpeedFusion. This is really designed for your ad hoc SFC Protect specifically. So that dirty internet bonding that Peplink provides through its distributed cloud infrastructure. If you're using SpeedFusion, I kind of been classifying as SpeedFusion Enterprise or SpeedFusion for Business, right? If you're using the full version of SpeedFusion, the SFC app is not the right solution for you. The SFC app is really designed for enabling SpeedFusion Protect and LTE, and then having a simplified management interface. Like you said, that RV, the home, your power user that wants to be able to connect and relay out through his house. And so that's really where those features come into play.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of this app is, SpeedFusion is massively powerful technology, and it's technology that traditionally only enterprises were able to deploy and able to afford. And, I say afford because Peplink has done it way cheaper than some of the more traditional network vendors, but we're trying to make this possible for anybody, right? Like, this isn't technology that's only useful for enterprises. This is useful for anybody at home who just wants applications to work better. And so that's the whole point of this app, is extending that experience out to the general public, and in a way that you can actually understand and deploy yourselves instead of needing somebody to come do all this for you and set it up.
And I got a really funny one from Brad, which Brad, I think I answered it already, but I'm going to restate it because it's really funny. His wife works for a large hospital who restricts VPN to the USA, and they can't connect in Canada. So you could connect to SFC Protect, choose a US location, tell it, and then on the devices, so under connected devices, give me 1 second. So you'd go into the router, and then under SpeedFusion digital devices, choose your wife's laptop right here, and select configure cloud location and auto location, hit save. Now it's going to look like she's coming from the US. But you need to make sure that on your cloud locations, you go to, instead of auto, you want to go to custom, and then choose a US location. So North America, Atlanta or Chicago, maybe even New York, and since you're up in Canada, but you could choose US based locations instead of having it auto connect to like a Canadian location. Then just choose the SpeedFusion tab here, go to digital devices, select your wife's laptop, tell it to use Chicago or New York. And now it's going to look like her IP address is in Chicago or New York. Oh, there you go. And yeah, Austin gave a good question there. So I think that's all the questions mostly answered. If we didn't answer your question, as always, Travis and I like to be available. And we love hosting these meetings. You can reach out to Travis or myself, Peter at westnetworks.com or Travis at peplink.com. And reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to answer any additional questions about the app. And once again, this is beta. We do recommend providing feedback, reaching out to Peplink on this, and helping us build this tool to be useful. But I was a little hesitant when it first came out. I've seen a couple comments about the value of it. If it's not valuable to you, that's fine. There are a lot of people that need a more simpler way to do this, and that's where this tool's for. We have, like I said, we have the In Control, which is one of my personal favorites, and then the IC2 app as well, and then the router app, and then now we have the SFC app. And so I think these tool sets just allow us to, just like the Peplink routers, they solve a particular problem. We have 9 BR1s, right? They solve use cases for very specific problems. And so this app solves a problem for very specific use case of people. And so it's not for everybody. Once again, power users like myself, we really love In Control, but there's a great capability of this app to simplify management and allow, especially if you're an MSP or a reseller, it's a sales tool as well, because now the RV or the work from home person, like Brad, his wife that needs to get really easy to configure and set up. And I think that's where this tool comes in very powerful.
Absolutely. Well, thanks as always, Peter. And thank you everyone for joining today. And there will be another webinar coming out in another month here. So,
and if you have any suggestions, Peter@westnetworks.com, Travis at peplink.com. Please, if there's something you want to learn about or see, please. And if you give us a suggestion and we choose it, we'll send you some swag. So yeah, send any suggestions for the next webinar, and we'd be more than happy to thank you and with a shirt or a backpack or something. So yeah, give us your feedback. Thank you so much, Travis, for inviting me, and thank you everybody for attending.
Take care, folks.